I'll open the meeting. Firstly, I'll just run us through an acknowledgement of country. Mid-Murray Council would like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional custodians of the land, the Narrandjeri, Nagawang, Narragaru, Narkat, Narrandjeri and Paramount peoples of the Mid-Murray lands and waters. It is upon their ancestral lands and waters that the Mid-Murray Council meets and operates, and Council pays respects to elders past and present and the spiritual beliefs that are of continuing importance to those First Nations peoples of today. Council further acknowledges the contributions and important role of First Nations people that First Nations peoples continue to play within the community, and we extend that respect to any peoples in attendance here today. Welcome everybody. To those of you who are comfortable home, it's some of us who drove through a lot of fog to get here today. We have apologies today from Ben Scales, from Sean, Councillor Kirsty McGregor and Mayor Bailey. We still have a quorum. The meeting today, I said to Ben the other day, not Ben, I said to Steve the other day, I'll get through it in 45 minutes. And he said, no, I reckon you'll do it in half an hour. So, which is not to diminish what we've got to do. Straight after the meeting, we'll go into feedback to Steve on the tranche 2 of the sustainability review, which is a very significant document in terms of what we're doing in terms of tourism for the region and in terms of where Mid-Murray Maritime heritage will go in the next, actually into the next and continuing through the next term of council. So it's a fairly important day.
Andrew, I probably can't stay for all of that. I can stay for some of it, but I have given Steve a couple of emails, a bit of feedback, so he sort of knows a couple of things. But I'll try and stay as long as I can because I'm still working. So,
okay,
but yeah, I will try and stay a bit longer, but we'll see how we go. And I may have to disappear at about 10:30 for a few minutes. We'll see how we go.
Okay, right. Fine. Yeah. So that's I've got a bit of a plan in my head of how we can zero into bits of that report, so we're not effectively reading through, I think, 59 pages of stuff. I'm assuming everybody has read it and digested it. If you haven't, and also in following on from what Jen's saying, I think there is certainly the opportunity for you to feedback to Steve, any of us to feedback to Steve in writing following to that, because it's really just a feedback to him to say, okay, this is what we're thinking. He will then determine what he includes and doesn't include in that report. The plan will be that that review will come back to this meeting, to our next meeting, where hopefully we will ratify it, and then following that, it will go through to council to actually be accepted by council. And even if council elections do happen in November, as you will be aware, we're not quite sure when they're going to happen.
It's not happening. It's been delayed till April. That's official.
Okay. In that case, there's a even if we were going to council in November, we would get that through. That gives us a little bit more time to do some more stuff, assuming that this committee will continue through until council goes into caretaker mode mid next year. Sorry, hijacked it a bit. So that's what we're planning for today. Confirmation of minutes, item 4. Would somebody like to move that we accept and confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 23rd of April 2026? Jen, thank you. Warren, second. In favour? We have a unanimous. I think we feel okay. Thank you. just to check, item 5, is anybody have a declaration of interest which they would like to confirm to the meeting? No. And we have no deputations. So moving on to item 7. I think it might be the Steve show today. Let's jump into 7.1, which is Maritime Dock Discovery Centre and vessel updates report. Thanks, Steve.
Yep, everyone would have seen the stats in there. These are up to the end of May, obviously. The Mayflower is actually going very well, and then it's been offline for a while it's having the motor replaced, and that's just commenced again this week with it. But the figures were definitely, or the numbers on it were definitely boosted by bookings through the ACH group, which is like a aged care facility, and that's definitely a market that we can tap into a whole lot more as well. So they were coming twice a week during that whole month, which is fantastic.
So that's essentially like a granny bus tour.
Yes, they come out, they were going out on the Mayflower, then they were going to the Manham pub for lunch, and then heading back to Adelaide. So it's a day excursion for them as well. So yeah. The Marion, pretty good, pretty busy couple of months actually with the Living River Festival and a couple of other cruises that it's had as well. There's been a lot of cruises close together on it. The day trips on the July weekend, June weekend, which are not in here, that was a fantastic weekend. There was, I think it was 180 or 190 passengers across that weekend on it, which was fantastic.
So just questions through the chair. You got all the figures there, but not the return like Morgan back to Manning. You were doing the day, but
After the festival,
yeah,
you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Morgan and Blanchetown. Just wondering.
Yeah. So I can certainly send those figures through.
I know, I'm just curious.
Yeah, they were. So on the way up, it wasn't too bad. On the way back, that first stretch from Morgan to Blanchetown was pretty good.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it sort of deteriorated. Yeah, I think the last stretch back into Manham was only 8 or 9 passengers on board that, but the first stretch was 16, 18, I think it was. Yeah.
I know because I said on the Blanchetown progress, the people of Blanchetown are really keen on our boats. That's why this Blanchetown Morgan one, they always have a lot of people on it.
Yeah.
With those so
Yeah.
You have to turn the pages. With those ones, you still have to do a transfer bus, don't you? So
Yes.
Bowhill to Manham,
Yeah.
is that our bus, or are we forking out for
We either use Rocky Warren at Swan Reach,
Yeah.
or Manham bus service.
Yeah.
So that
So really we lose
that's that is
profitability
of it. Arnold Gallery, that's we haven't got any exhibitions in there until Sala. That's definitely one that I'm keen to explore how we better utilise that space. Not sure if you're aware, but there's a Manham community sort of opened up a shop next to the visitor centre, which is fantastic. The synergies between the two is really good, but that's taken away a lot of the artists as well that would have displayed in the Arnold Gallery. But I've been having some discussions with them about possible options still that they can do exhibitions in there, because when they want to do a larger exhibition, there's not enough space in their new building as well. So that's ongoing. Manham Dock Discovery Centres. Manham Dock Discovery Centre, long. we're continuing with the working group there to gradually improve. And the big thing that's about to happen in there is the signage is changing in there. Feel one of the members of that working group has been doing some signage at the Murray Bridge men's shed as well, so that will replace a lot of the laminated signage.
Yeah.
So yeah, happy to answer any questions. Let's see.
Any questions for Steve on this?
Yeah, there's one. So what's wrong with the Mayflower now?
So the Mayflower, so the motor went back in. It was test run. It's got a lot of vibration in it.
Right.
So they were checking that on Tuesday, I believe, or even yesterday, just to see whether it's something to do with the timing gear. And I haven't had an update on it since then. So hopefully that is what it is. Or it's potentially with the replacing of the motor back in, hasn't gone back in exactly where it was. That might be creating vibration as well.
Yeah.
Just the point of the money went excellent. I was involved in a lot of it. And the return trips from when we returned to the moment, there's any way we can do it better. You know, we're looking at that's obviously the passengers were down.
Yeah, and that's where
Didn't we get it out pretty much?
Oh, look, I think it was out there. There was a lot of, people who were up here at the festival as well. So there was some hangover from that the people that were here at the festival did the extra trips on it. And probably where this document comes into play, want to tap into more of the commercial tour operators to tap into that market. And that's where commission structures and all those sorts of things come into play as well. Because, to some degree, I think we've possibly exhausted some of that market without going into that more commercial type market or some of those groups. We've had a few that have come through the visitor centre already that have come from interstate, and they're the ones I want to target to those. So they're, with a particular focus on the river. So rather than do just a 1.5 hour cruise on the Mayflower, or they're in Madam, can we incorporate an overnight for them, or on the Marion as well? So that's where I see the future a little bit more as well.
When the Maritime board was over here, I don't know if you've met Suzanne from Echuca. She only came Morgan. She didn't go to Adelaide. Yeah. Anyway, she's like Steve's role in the Echuca.
Yep.
And she's mentioned quite a few times that it'd be great if we could all work together. The Echuca and the Mid-Murray.
Yep.
Like they'd send people our way, we send people their way.
Yeah.
So that's an option to explore.
Yeah.
And she works for the community-owned boats in Echuca.
Yeah, she works with a Campaspe Shire Council.
So as opposed to Murray River Cruise.
Yeah, that's private.
Yeah,
The other ones.
the
There's lots of that scope of collaboration, and that's where I think we're not doing that well.
Especially if somewhere in the future we could just get one big riverboat trail that doesn't recognise borders, or just the river itself.
Or still doing
But that's where if we get into that, and again that'll come up in this discussion here, but that's where we need to put our commercial hat on a little bit more, and that's where we're getting the commission structures and things like that, which is probably new to council, but to move forward a bit, that's what we really need to consider to tap into those markets.
Okay, we're getting into stuff we'll probably get into with the review report. Any other questions for Steve on 7.1? Yeah, would somebody like to move? We accept that Di, Warren, and Everybody in favour? Unanimous 7.2. Mogs. Let's take Steve.
So
Answer the main side question.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So we didn't have a MOGS meeting only because it fell directly in that Tuesday after the Living River Festival. So half the attendees were unable to make it. But just some other updates. So Marion's booked in for slipping in September. So September 14. The wood conveyor's still been looked at. That one's been getting a bit long in the tooth now. So hopefully getting some resolutions to that. Hot water replacement for the Mayflower, that has been ordered. Just waiting for that to arrive. The Mayflower we've just talked about. So hopefully it was just the timing gear or something that needed repair on that. And then a bit of an update on the Marion again for those trips that it's gone out there. It's also heading out this weekend for Rockford Cruise.
First Rockford there.
Yeah.
And then fortnight after for another
Weekend escape. Yeah.
What are the bookings like that?
So I think that's sitting at about 12 at the moment. So so we're still actively promoting that to try and get the.
What's the go with them? You normally get people last week jump on.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, yeah. The last one we actually lost a few. There was some sickness going on, so that doesn't help last minute either. But
That's the weekend escape. So
Yeah.
2 hour cruise.
Yeah.
not too accurate.
Yeah,
The weekend escape.
What's your current perceived break even on that?
About 12. Yeah, 10 to 12.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah.
Anything else on mods and things boaty? Things man and boaty? No. Would somebody like to move? We accept. Kevin, Di, thank you. In favour? Thank you. 7-3. So you've got to raise a voice on for this one.
Hardly here at the moment. Yeah, Morgan. So the Lanty Museum, that's the free entry into that over the Living River Festival. I think it was about 500 odd people went through that, which was really good engagement there as well. So hopefully that's good promotion for them to come back and bring others to go through there as well. Ramco Primary School been helping out at the museum as part of their history and social sciences studies, and they've selected Piers Canali as the focus of a major project for this year, and we'll be creating a mosaic artwork depicting the historic vessel. So that's again good community engagement with that. The Murray Princess unfortunately didn't come in to the museum their normal visit, and I suspect something's happened with the Princess this week. It hasn't left dock this week either, so I suspect there might be an issue with that. There was a crane next to it yesterday, so
that's not good.
probably not a good sign. Yeah.
Probably due for a new paddle wheel. They do it every so many years, don't they?
I've got no idea. So it's really, I mean, we have to change the boards. I don't know what the whole system. Yeah, that's probably.
Yeah.
Better a crane than a pump.
Grant funding and future projects. So the mural project has Teresa's been very active in trying to secure grants where she can with that. So I think previously notified we did get a $15,000 grant, but there was another one that she'd applied for, which we got a non-successful letter back from. I think we're actually at the point though that we can order the cases for the mural. So I've just got
Been a long time coming.
and it's the price now has gone up to about $81,000 to do them.
I think when we looked at it, we talked $80,000 back
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. So
Yeah,
So excuse my ignorance, where's the mural going to be?
they're in the Landseer Museum, so there's 5 of them, and they're huge. Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they're huge. Yeah. So the cases are specially museum grade cases to prevent any deterioration on them. And once we got them, they need to go in a different place within the museum as well. So it's going to involve a lot of.
So I did hold one meeting with volunteers from Lancers. I think it's about time we did another one because, as you've mentioned, things have to be moved. The murals to go where they were, and the major thing that's got to be moved is the Freemason stuff. And when we move it, it's got to be put back in a proper order.
Right.
So I've asked Greg, who works on the ferry, he's actually a Freemason.
Mhm.
So he said he'll volunteer his time
Okay.
on his days off to assist. And any other sort of work or heavy lifting, we can get the prisoners to give us a hand.
Yeah. So the actual building of the display cases is around a 6-month project for them to build them. So even if we gave them the nod today, it'll be early next year before they're even ready to install. So that's a big project for them. But Ben's just signed off on because it's very limited options within Australia to make them to that level. So Ben's just signed off on the
You can't go and get 3 quotes.
No, I can't get 3 quotes on them because all the museums in the country go to this location based in Canberra. Sorry, lost my place there. The Living River Festival, we know all about that. The Old Wharf souvenir gift shop, that had a really great weekend as well over the Living River Festival, and some great returns over that weekend as well, and getting really good engagement with the community. And yeah, just little stats which you can read.
I just had one lovely little good news story. You know, at the Ramco reception, kids did coloured in placemats for the captain's dinner at the Living River Festival. We stole 30 of them at the end of the night. And on the Marion now, we try and do a different configuration of table dressing for every meal. So breakfast first day for the passengers who weekend escape, they've got those placemats. We make it look like play school, and it was just lovely. They noticed, and then there's a whole opportunity for another story about river community, and it was, and of course everyone was different because each kid's, some of them look like Andy Warhol, and some of them look like Black and White, and it's just really lovely to roll that all in together. So
I thought, what my fridge at home?
possibly does.
Sue's got them up in the shop there, in the sweet shop as well.
I also spent a half day down. I gave them a tour around the canal, and then they all set out the front with their sketchbooks. So it's a really big project.
Next generation of volunteers, the generation after next of volunteers. We've just got to get them between. Yes. Thank you, Steve, again. Any other questions on 7.3? Do I have a mover? Thank you, Phil. Do I have a shaker? Thank you, Di. Do I have a unanimous? Thank you, everybody. 7.4. So, Canelli.
Okay, Canelli. So yeah, notes from the various Canelli operations group leading up to the festival, which there were numerous things happening during that period. Lots of work still being completed to get it ready for the festival. Sorry, I'm just trying to pick out the keys. Lots in this. The booking arrangements. So it's all set up on Fair Harbour. Teresa was going to do this weekend because she's unwell. Rhiannon's coming in, but this next couple of times will be testing the waters, how we best do that, and then we can get a system in place and review what signage we want and all of those aspects of it as well. Working through some potential sponsor options as well. So Teresa and I'll just continue to put something together for that, and then we can share that with the group feedback as well. Sorry, Teresa's put this one together, so I'm just appreciation cruises were held for a number of the organisations that were involved. And then, the cruise times for the Canale. So that last weekend of the month and 3 cruises. The bookings at this point are definitely showing that the middle cruise time of 11:30 a.m. is the most popular. The 10 a.m. has not proven that popular. As you
Well, like I said, 7 months.
Yeah.
The early cruise is always longer.
So whether that is a seasonal thing, could be that, summer, if if it's particularly in the heat, if that's a better option. But we'll obviously see what happens tomorrow.
Is it worth just moving the whole day
Out now.
1 hour ahead?
Yeah, it could be, and I think because we don't know, a bit like the Maritime and the Mayflower. You look at the bookings, you think, oh, it's not worth running, and then all of a sudden you've got 15 people that are lined up to book on. So I think this first weekend it'll be really interesting to see that. People like Lee at the Caravan Park here have put out a special offer that is giving 20% discount if anyone shows their Canale ticket, which is fantastic. And Rhiannon had some bookings for that yesterday with that. So they're the sorts of things we just don't know how it's going to roll. So I think this weekend will be a little bit of a litmus test.
What's your ratio of Morgan-based volunteers relative to travelling in volunteers? Like, so it's all the Morgan gang at the moment. We're getting some people come up from
Most of our
city
volunteers are
or-
Morgan based, aren't they? At this
Yeah,
stage, we've got Chinese.
Only thing we do have a problem, do we get people trained in firemen?
So, no, just
We just
I'm
need
thinking
to-
about also in terms of Steve, in terms of volunteers coming in, because you don't have a floating hotel here like you're doing now.
That's what they're going to realise.
Yeah.
We don't have a float.
No, so if you like it, so in terms of a volunteer,
We can't come in down Renmark.
yeah.
We've got a few that are coming out, but most, like our deckies and stuff, most of those are
Yeah, we got plenty of decking.
Yeah.
local and
Thing where
Section down the line group.
I think we got potential engineers falling out the tree.
I just asked a question on a bit of a feasibility one that I don't want the answer today, something we're going to have to look at in the future, but we want to involve the boats together, and it's been noted before about the Marion bringing passengers up to Blanchard and then the Canal taking over and take the passengers in. Will that be feasible? Because we can only max take 28 passengers, whereas the Canal can take 60. So you've got a big difference. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's maybe something we can discuss later on.
Yeah, I think we got to explore all options.
There's a whole, I think there's a whole discussion on packaging options with it as well, because we've already, for this first couple of months with the Canale, we said we just do these short cruises.
Well, I'm thinking more like next year.
And then look at what the options are. And I know even with Canale, talk about that lunchtime option to Northwest Bend. Does it become a whole half day experience sort of thing?
But it's all happening. Literally. It's all going to be discussed.
Yeah. So it's definitely, we don't have,
Not
you know, here's a plan yet, but it's
Yeah.
definitely in the thought
I mean, we've
process.
had a few inquiries and I only had one 2 nights ago and that was, people probably know Steve from Wooden Boat Association. Yeah, so he rang me and he said, oh, we're planning, Wooden Boat Association planning next year doing a trip to Morgan. But his next question, how much is canoe to hire for the boat? Well, I mean, straight away.
Yeah, well, just this week alone, I think Rhiannon's had about 3 inquiries for different options, from one's a commercial tour operator, and the others are like Provis or something like that as well for the canal.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. So, you know, it sort of started. We just need to catch up to get our, you know, what we can actually offer as well. And
Another thing for next year to look at too, both our boats will have significant birthdays.
yes, yeah,
So the Marion will be 130 and the Canal will be 120. So
Yeah, well, I rang Katrina.
that's November generally.
Yeah, I rang Katrina last week and she went, oh my God. She went, I haven't even thought of it yet.
yeah. Well, we've mentioned it in passing.
Yeah.
We just need to sit down and plan it out. Yeah. And because it doesn't necessarily need to be an event. It could be,
Yes.
you know, 6 months of different options.
Well, one option she said is those boats are going to Galway on the return trip. Stop at Manning and do something there. Or
There's opportunities. We just need to make the most of
Yeah.
it.
Just need to map them out. Sure. Okay. I think the rest is just all information which everyone would have read.
Oh, that's the only question I had. Did you get any new volunteers from the Living River Festival? Were there any new Canally volunteers?
There's lots of questions. So I'm not sure whether we picked up.
Yeah. And the management of the volunteers, is that all happening through Hannah or is that happening through
No, tree.
Tracy's doing that? So cool.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Captain's polls.
that's a project, I've been talking to Teresa about a long time and she picked up. Very similar to what they did down at Manham. That originally came from what I saw in Swan Hill.
This one, Wentworth is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones I saw in Swan Hill were the ones done on the 150th anniversary.
Does everybody understand what captain's polls are? Yeah. So.
Anyway, so we wanted to do something here, Cadell and Blanchetown. So I'm going to make some inquiries through SA Water about the boards they put in the locks. When they lift them out, they are massive. And I know like, I think it's lock 7 or lock 8. There's a big pile of them stacked up really high. So I'm sure we could get all of them for probably just the cost of transport. And then maybe we could look at this bloke Jared Loxton.
Yeah.
The locals all know what his work's like. Have you seen
Did he do the canal?
Yeah.
The carrying part?
Yeah.
I've heard you talk about it.
whether he could come up with a concept, put on painting the poles?
Yeah.
Then we just pick out local captains like Huey King and maybe Francis and Tinting.
Weaver.
Eh?
There, Weaver here.
And not sure.
I've got a list that I've pulled together.
Yeah,
That sounds great.
that's another project that just stems on whether you get grants or not.
But that's something that the MCDTA could possibly contribute to as well.
Yeah.
The riverfront.
Excellent. Any others on, we're at 7.4? No. Do I have a mover? Yep. Kevin, do I have a second?
Yeah.
So I think we're all in favour of accepting everybody. 7.5.
Okay, so yeah, this is just a update on where we're at. So the tranche one still needs to be worked through, looking at those operational models for the boats. I've had some discussions already with other organisations, but that's ongoing over this 12 months. Vessel maintenance and operations coordinator, which came as a recommendation from the tranche one, and I believe that's part of the council discussions at the moment as to whether that gets included in the budget. Talked about marketing review, so that was part of that workshop we did after the last meeting, and since then Steve Davis has held a workshop with the team about social media and particularly with AI now, because AI is just a game changer for everything promotion wise. So he is working on some other components that we'll get him back in again for another workshop that will help us set up a lot of marketing opportunities, particularly in the social area through AI. So that's because it's websites and everything. It's all changed now since AI has been introduced as well, and it's changing on a daily basis. Tranche 2, which we're going to do as a workshop after this. Madam Dock Discovery Centre, I mentioned about the signage, and collections management policy has been updated, and that was discussed at the last working group meeting there. The Shearer vehicle, we've still got that. It's not on display. There's a lot of work. I know there's a bit of anxiety from Doug Baker about getting that in, but it's one thing to get it here. It's one thing to actually display it properly, and we're not in a position to really do that properly at the moment without some considerable rearrangements in what we've got there. So
it's the plan that goes into an existing display.
It will have to.
It can't go into the area that it's now sitting in with the removal of, like the sitting in the other open area at the moment.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
Is
so the plan initially would be to incorporate it into that beam shed with all the other steam thing, but it needs a lot of rearranging in there, and a lot of what we call the non-museumy stuff, workshop sort of stuff, to go in where where it's sitting at the moment, so that we can allow it to be properly set up in that beam shed area there. Yeah. And
any discussion of building an additional building for it disappears?
Well, the plans are there from which I believe were developed some years ago.
The money came from the grant from the Maritime Basin Commission. I think it was $10,000 or something like that. But then
to build it,
to build it was going to be like a glass front shed. You know where they put that steam engine? It was going to be there. Then there was a shortage of money for other projects after the flood, and he used that money.
Yeah. The guy just came on when that conversation was happening, and there were plans and pictures of stuff. Which
I would anticipate that the $10,000 wouldn't go anywhere near.
No.
Probably would need plate for the glass on it. Explore Murray website had a bit of an audit on that. There's lots of updates required on that, and again, just going back to the AI thing, that's been a whole game changer for websites as well. And the membership for the riverboats, that's another thing still working on, based on the various discussions we've had at Malts and whatever as well. So I've got a bit of a draft on that, but still need to refine.
So in membership, you're talking like Friends of the PS Marion 2.0 sort of?
And whether the discussion's been around whether it's not just Canally, it's not just Marion, it's Friends of the Mid-Murray Riverboats, whatever we call it. And what we're actually giving away as part of that membership is worth more than what we're actually getting in for the membership currently. So it's just refining that to actually make it a real, it's a real membership. Still some benefits, obviously, for those people signing up for it, but we're not giving away the farm at the same time.
Just to comment on the Mid-Murray or Mid-Murray.
Yep.
Like I had people contact me, they're sort of relatives. When's Canali, what time's Canali cruising on next weekend? How much are the tickets? And I thought I'll use that. In the end, I just went back to Facebook and got there.
When was this?
Not long ago.
Okay.
I think they're on the, people are on the cruise this weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Because they just need to book on the book now, and it takes them straight to Fair Harbour with those details on it.
Yeah, but I wanted the information.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to give them that and then get them to go through. I just wanted the invitation. And in the end, I just went to Facebook, found where Teresa had advertised today, and just took a screenshot and sent it to the people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's been the connection between ATDW, which is the SA Tourism website, which feeds into Explore Mid-Murray and Destination Riverland. And sorry, I lost my train of thought there. And Fair Harbour, sorry. So they've been updated. So it should.
I mean, even that, if an elderly person was to look at that, they're thinking, well, where's the boats?
Yeah. Yeah, and look, there's only
Yeah,
so much you can do as well.
Don't start me on a conversation that's being recorded. That's,
I know they usually put a lot of work into it, but I just still find it clumsy.
I think one of the advantages of AI now is, was one reason for my questioning Steve at the previous meeting, is AI web searches now scrape everything.
Yeah.
So actually, if you went into AI mode in Google, either good or bad, and says what are the rate schedules and what are the cruises canally, well, AI then scrapes all the information from a multiple of sites, which we have, which are hard to find under brand names that nobody knows, and it'll spit that out in your Google search.
And that's the vast majority of the tourism industry. That's now how they're finding things as well. I've got I think it's next Tuesday, I'm sitting in on a Tourism Australia AI session, which is going to talk exactly all about that and how that's evolving, and the trends are changing, that websites are going to become a little bit irrelevant for people doing their searches. They're just going to use AI.
Not a great time to be a web designer or a code designer.
No.
Anything else on 7.5?
Yes.
Please.
Through the chair, if I may. Steve, we talked about the Shearer car and the fact that it may go into the workshop area in the current beam shed. I'm not sure, having looked at it pretty closely the other day, whether it'll actually fit in there and give you the ability to allow people to walk around it and get close without touching, as opposed to staying where it is. What's the real long-term plan for the area that it currently sits in?
Well, my understanding is that was set up as a workshop space and storage space.
Yeah, well, they've got a workshop further to the riverside of the building, and they've got that lunchroom, which is going to be the barbecue area. I just wonder if sufficient thought's gone into putting it in the beam shed, which in itself is very unique and attracts a lot of interest, in even that sort of semi-workshop area that's already in the beam shed, kind of might be worth thinking about whether or not the value in more storage, more workshop area balances out against the shearer car and the value of that in the future and the ability to get close to it and walk around and experience what's pretty unique.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where when I'm saying in the beam shed, there's a lot of work that needs to happen in there, like just rearranging for it to do exactly what you just said, that people to get around it, see it properly, whatever as well. So yeah, and it's not that the urgency to me was to get it here because it needed to get out of Western Australia. But the fact we didn't really have a proper plan on how we're going to display, it's the sticking point at the moment, and working through, okay, is where it is at the moment the best location, or is it better going in with the beam shed?
Yeah, my point is, I think it requires a great deal of thought because it's a very special piece of equipment that we've got, and we've had 2 years to think about this. So, we should give ourselves a slap on the wrist that we haven't got this sorted out. But I mean, Kevin was talking about the glass-fronted room on the end of that building. If my memory serves me correctly, I think that tripped over big planning issues with water or something or other in terms of that structure that's just outside the fence there. I'm not sure that that's even possible anymore, so we might be stuck with what we've got. Anyway, as long as we're looking carefully at it, because I think we need to maximise the value in the market.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Les. I think everyone appreciates how important that is. It's just making sure we've got the best spot for it, and for logistically, but also display wise.
Sure.
You could take the street end of that big shed, put a glass thing in that.
I'd support it. The beginning of my tenure here was when the shed was being built. There was a whole area being built as a kitchen for the market being used. And frankly, when I went in there 2 weeks ago, you could barely find floor space because it was so untidy. There's unused whitewoods, there's all sorts of going. Yeah, and then there's where the steam car is now. It's a storage for crew motorbikes and other stuff. But why wouldn't you use that space on the basis that other spaces which were to be used for community activities are not being used for community activities? But that's a wider conversation.
Yeah.
I suppose even the option of putting it in the interim in the Discovery Centre itself, and I suspect there's probably room there. Whilst you decide what's going to happen with the beam shed or whatever, I think it could go. It should be looked at in the area outside your office, Steve, without interfering in the riverboat models. Anyway.
I think then that's definitely been thought about as well. Space wise, it's actually pretty tight in there by the time you get that in there.
It'll be tight.
Yeah, but lots of options to work through. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on 7.5? No. Do I have a mover? Warren, thank you. Les, second in favour.
Yeah.
Thank you. 7.6. Would be the money. Steve,
do you want me just to run through it?
Did you prepare this or this?
No, this Paul from Finance puts this together. Yeah.
If you like, I've got a couple of vague questions.
Yep. So I'll go straight to the operating income expenditure. Operating deficit for the financial year is 1.16315 million against a budget deficit of 1290037, favoured by $123,700. Operating deficits have occurred across most financial function areas as budgeted, with the PW Mayflower the standout, delivering a surplus of $33,177 across the period, with small surpluses also for the Maritime Markets and the Maritime BIC and Museum. PS Marion, Maritime Museum and BIC and Morgan operated favourable against the year-to-date budget, while the other areas operated unfavourable, including the PS Canale obviously wasn't operating for most of that period. PW Mayflower, Maritime Markets and Maritime. The PS Canale was not yet operational for passengers and therefore only generated 4.2 thousand in advance payments for cruises. The PS Marion deficit is favourable compared to the year-to-date budget, and the PW Mayflower surplus is also favourable compared to the year-to-date budget. Morgan Craft Shop, Land Sea Museum and Morgan Visitor Information Centre are showing a deficit of 245,589 against a budgeted deficit of 254,257. Positive variances across most areas. Maritime Markets are showing a surplus of 2,482, being 1,722 behind budgeted expectations, and there were a few markets cancelled due to weather this year as well. The Maritime Museum and the Visitor Information Centres are favourable and show a surplus of 1,300 compared to a budget deficit of 21,329. Other Maritime income and expenditure is slightly unfavourable, with the net budgeted year-to-date deficit of 894,535 against the actual deficit being 895,431, so $896 worse off than budgeted. Overall, the operating result shows a favourable variance of 103,722 with an actual operating deficit of 1,166,315 against a budget of 1,290,037 deficit. Full cost of distribution support costs and direct wages behind the largest, being the largest expenses. The favourable variance is mainly from yet to be commenced ferry demolition of 92,000. And full cost attribution also under year-to-date budget of 38,000. The Mayflowers incurred the majority of the current capital renewal spend of 25,470, and the PS Marion 3,899. No new or upgraded capital expenditure has been budgeted for the spending curve.
So just a question on that. Canales 4,200. In advance payment, that would have been only for that one day of the living room?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is just up to there.
Are you across the demolition of the ferry?
I am now. Yeah. 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 So there's 100,000 in budget for that. That has gone out. They're receiving quotes. It's got to be removed from where it is.
Yeah.
And I understand it was the old
wharf. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's the new purchasing officer has getting updated quotes on that. It won't get done before the end of the financial year. That's going to
So that flows back in.
So the 100K will get carried over into the next financial year and probably spent early in that new financial year.
And any other questions from the presentation? We probably need to feel good because we've cost less than they budgeted, than council budgeted we cost, but it never quite reads that way. So,
it's always going to be a deficit, but it's
like you're always going to be a cost. Which there's some cultural things which let's get to in that I think we need to address with that. But I was thinking what would benefit me, possibly the rest of this committee, possibly the next committee, is to actually have a workshop with the financial person and say, okay, can you explain this to us so every time we read it we don't feel depressed? because I look at the, and also break down some of these things. So, okay, if, I don't know when full cost attribution turned up into these. I was expecting it, but I don't know when the first report arrived. But there's 400 and 400. And also, you've got to read these backwards. The black numbers are bad and the red numbers are good, which I took me a while to get my head around. But there's a black number of $487,464. So that's nearly $500,000 a year of debt that we incur under full cost attribution. And not challenging full cost attribution, but it's really nice to know, to understand quite where that's being calculated through, because additional to full cost attribution, there's maintenance, building maintenance, there's depreciation, which I understand is an accounting necessity. It blows me away that there's another 50,000, calculating across the assets, there's tens of thousands of dollars of depreciation, which shows the negative figure, but we're depreciating I understand it's an accounting necessity, but we're actually seeing here a depreciation of a very, very 130-year-old asset. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is it'd be really nice to actually turn this into layman's language, that then we could indirectly start to get that to come through the culture of the volunteers. And so we start to get rid of this us and them thing that happens in the, I love to be able to say to people who've had a really great day, the boat has, none of us making any money, but the boat has made, well, not made, the boat has turned over $4,000 today. But I'd also like to say to the volunteers, well, yeah, but also for every cruising day, we pay $1,000 in insurance to get a reality check through to them as to, but not a depressing one all the time. So I'd just like to put that on the record to actually just sit down and have a conversation. Like, what does that mean? Where does that come from? How's that calculated?
I mean, and a good way of looking at it is, like this weekend, Canali is going to do 6 cruises. Say it ends up with, I don't know, 10 grand just for the round figure. That doesn't mean Monday morning you've got 10 grand to go and spend.
No, right now buying new goats and getting an extra sandwich for lunch.
Yeah.
So,
but another point I want to raise is something that used to happen in the past but doesn't happen anymore. Is like this meeting that we're having today would have been presented with a proposed maritime budget for 26-27 for comment. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. Instead of it just being all internal behind the locked doors of council and manor, we would have had an opportunity to comment on what they thought our budget should be. Yeah. What used to happen years ago when Rob Bowering was alive, did bring his proposed budget to the board.
Yeah.
Down in Manham, and that's well before Canali.
Yes, but that's the way.
And everybody would say, well, I think we need a little bit more in this area, and then when that was finalised, then he would present that to council.
I think, I concur with that. And then what's happened now is it's amalgamated that we're marine heritage, but we're actually looking at the deficits or the costs of the VIC and the VIO and of the markets and of the craft shop, and there's peripheral. I'm not saying it's negative, but it's amalgamated, and it's actually not marine heritage. Like the markets aren't marine heritage. They were put there for a reason, which probably assisted marine heritage, whether it does or not now. Let's talk about that next. But anything from those externals? No. Any other questions on Mayflower Beverage 7.7 thousand over line 345033. Was a note. Because Maybe something really above missing. So. Um, 345033. Here we go. So page 25, Mayflower operating expenditure. Year to date budget beverage expenses 7.7 thousand. And maintenance engineering 2.1 thousand. In the right hand column, so.
Under Mayflower?
Yeah, Mayflower. So it's Mayflower income and expenditure.
Yeah.
Halfway down page 25.
Yeah.
In the comments column. Crew expenses 1.9 thousand, gallery expenses 1.1, material over. Beverage budget expenses 7.7 thousand.
Yeah, but where's the income from that?
Yeah, it should be an income line.
And it's in Mayflower, that's what I don't understand. I mean,
Oh, Mayflower sells, the people can buy drinks on the Mayflower.
yeah, $7.7 thousand worth of, that's a hell of a lot of drinks. These people are having a good time. I don't know, it seemed to be an off note, or whether it's mixed up. And then, but probably that's reinforcing my point.
So that's the purchase price of the
I
alcohol.
don't know.
Yeah, that would be.
So there would have been somewhere another income line.
Income line.
Yeah.
But they do drink a lot of champagne on them.
Okay.
I do know that.
Anyway, so I just sort of, oh,
Yeah.
Pass the license for the canal.
hang on, Phil, let's get through this one first. Any other questions on budget 7.6, 7.6? No, can I have a mover? Kevin, can I have a second? Di, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you, folks. I think that brings, we're both out, Steve. It's 11:30.
Do we have time for a question without that?
Well, I don't know whether I think questions without notice actually officially have notice.
No, well,
But I'll go for it.
other business.
Yeah.
Seems to be a lot of talk issues regarding travel and meal expenses. I think it needs to be knuckled down by the board of what the rules are and what the rules are.
I would pull it. I'd say I think it needs to be probably ratified by the board and probably needs to be proposed by the manager. Yes, I don't know whether that happens within this forum or.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
We looked at travel a while back.
I thought.
Yeah, there is a travel policy or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's never been one about the meals. As far as the canal goes, and I'll just use a perfect new example. We get a fireman who comes up the day before. He gets $25 to go to the pub because we do not have facilities on board at this point in time to cook your own meal or whatever.
Right.
So where does that start and where does that end? Then like you got the fireman going to the pub and then you might have two engineer type people staying on board as well and they want to go as well.
If I could put my volunteer hat on.
Yeah.
my understanding of it, which has been detailed in email from Steve, I think this year, but probably hasn't reached. Yeah, so there's a $25 meal allowance for as a volunteer on the Marion that you get if you come up the night before. That doesn't necessarily extend beyond engineers or firemen. Yeah, that's the way I see it. So how that relates to Canali, that probably needs to be. I think it's the first time we've had a vote.
I think it's a really important point actually, because I saw that email and I kind of scratched my head at it, because if I'm there a captain on the Marion, and we were leaving the wharf on Saturday morning at 10. I really think it's not good for a captain and mate to be rocking up at 9 or 8, because if we find a problem, you're buggered.
Can I propose that we continue this conversation?
Yeah, well, that's right.
Yes.
We could see all day. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying now.
Yeah,
It was a conversation we had to have. I don't think it definitely it fits within
Can I mention
the
one
agenda of this
really
meeting.
quick thing before we finish the
Yeah.
meeting? Just new business or whatever, but I'm sure as you're all aware that we've literally lost 3 skippers in Madam. And not literally, but might have to be first now. So Alan Bourne's retired, Trevor's retired, and I doubt very much Max is going to, possibly might come back, but it's very 50-50. We're in a situation now that it's going to apply with the Valley as well.
Yeah.
Because we've literally got 4 skippers now with the
Well, it's already has affected Canali like this weekend.
Well, then, but the problem is, and you're right, we've got Lee, but he's obviously going to be jumping on the Canali when he can. And we've got Kevin Cross, who's down in Dover, who is very involved in the Oscar. So he's not always played. So that's literally at the moment, leaving me and Jim. One of us goes down, just shut the whole thing down. We have got, I know we've got a shortage of engineers, but we can now have a massive problem with skippers. We need to get some kind of succession going.
Yeah.
And you know, I've talked to you maybe later about we kickstart what we tried to start up in Syria before. Because if we don't start training captains, that boat's going to be tied up in 5 years. It's as simple as that. Because there's going to be engineers as well.
We'll see, this weekend we got Lee on Canali.
That's right.
Then we got Mick Polson to come down from Renmark as first mate. Otherwise we wouldn't have had anybody.
That's
Yeah,
what I
but
mean.
what you're saying is Lee was originally on the Marion for the Rockford.
Originally, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're already seeing the impact of
Yeah.
It's a juggling act at the moment, and yeah, it's a bit the same with engineers, isn't it, Phil? We're juggling act with engineers as well. And there's so much, you know, we have all these great ideas and whatever, but other things, but this to me is one of the most important things. Because, yeah.
Yeah, I see
Well,
where
it's
you're
not
coming
gonna
from.
go
I mean, we're gonna have all the best marketing ideas in the world, sell 1 million tickets, but if we haven't got a captain, we don't go nowhere.
Or an engineer, and just both as important. And I'm not going to go through it all today.
I'd like to go through it. So what I'd like to do is pause the conversation, close the meeting.
Yeah.
If I reverse this, the way that we were going to discuss this, which I've written down the way I want to run through it, we go backwards, we can actually recommence that conversation straight away, if everybody's happy with that.
No, so I've got the cough about 12, so.
Oh, you didn't tell us that.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. And are there any other questions without notice or with notice or any notice? No. In that case, I will invite you all to be at Adelaide Road Manor at 10 a.m. on Thursday, the 27th of August 2026. Thank you for your attendance. Please stay online, guys. We might just run straight into the conversation we've just started. And I will close the meeting. Thank you.